back to the Breakfast Club thing. Do you think that Charlamagne was wrong for going and doing an interview with Gucci Mane when he knew that his co-host Angela Yee had smoke with Gucci?
On principle, I didn't know about it until I was brought up to my son. He told me about it. The way Charlamagne did that interview, I would have to ask him because I'm not pretty much in that world. The thing that bothered me though, when he was saying to Charlamagne, that bitch, and I felt Charlamagne should have checked him as a man, like, yo, we're not gonna call her a bitch.
Because I've seen Charlamagne check so many random ass people too for saying bitch, and I'm just like, bro, this is hip hop. If you've got an issue with somebody calling a woman a bitch, then we got a whole lot of people that we got to talk about. You got to hold everybody to that same standard. You know?
Right. So,
but when Gucci is sitting there saying it about Angela, that is a clear foul because, you know, if you're saying it in that sort of condescending, like she's a bitch, like she's a piece of shit, basically. Yes. You're saying that about my co-host, and Charlamagne doesn't say anything, and he apparently flew across the country to go do this interview because she didn't want anything to do with this interview.
Right.
I mean, I understand how when you're Charlamagne and you're doing that interview and you don't want to be telling Gucci Mane, like, hey, don't call her a bitch. That's a little bit of an awkward position to put yourself in, but it seems mandatory.
Yeah, I'm quite sure he probably had his reasons, but from the way I would have handled it, I'd have like, yo, you got let's chill on that, fam. That's it, you know. But that's my man. I love him to death. He probably had to do what he had to do, but I'm not gonna let it happen on my watch.
Right.
It ain't happening on my watch. I don't even play them games.
The weird thing about it though is, could you imagine the Breakfast Club existing and continuing on with them having good on-screen, energy and rapport? But then privately, they don't fuck with each other at all.
That's life.
And we all wonder if that is sort of the situation right now.
It's life, Adam. That's the thing about life. We was just talking about it. You got to be prepared for whatever comes your way. You got to be able to deal with whatever comes your way. And there's also what I say called control the temperature of the room. And you control the temperature of the room. Like, I don't get along, but we get a check. We feeding our families. We feeding, and it's a nice check. I ain't fucking that up. So we do what we got to do because guess what? In all time, things do heal.
Right.
In time, things do heal.
Yeah, because you see it all the time where, like, dudes will be in a group, a band, whatever. They're in their 20s. Tempers run hot.
Yes.
They break up.
And you know one of the great stories like that? Van Halen.
Really? See, you know more about this white shit than me.
Van Halen.
I don't know much about Van Halen.
Listen to what I'm telling you, what I'm about to tell you.
Feel me?
The guy with the blonde hair that played the guitar. What was the lead singer? Guys, what was the lead singer of Van
Eddie
Halen?
Van Halen, and then there's... What the fuck is that guy's name?
He was the leader, but you think he was Van Halen, but Van Halen was the guitar player.
But I think I've seen him on Joe Rogan recently. I forget.
What's his name? What is it? David Lee.
Right.
You thought David Lee was Van Halen, but he wasn't.
Right.
The egos on David Lee were so phenomenal, it broke up the group because David Lee thought he could do this by himself.
That's always how it goes.
But they needed each other. They needed each other. Just like NWA. When they broke up, they wasn't that powerful.
Let me ask you this though. Say that there was, let's go purely hypothetical. Say when you were 40, you were part of a comedy group. You and a couple other guys, you were all super tight and you were going out touring all the time, whatever. And then one of the dudes in the group did the most foul shit. He fucked your girl and he was talking shit about you behind your back. A whole bunch of shit that basically makes it like that is a person you never want anything to do again with your life. Now you're 60, 20 years gone by. You never had a conversation with this person, but all of a sudden there's a whole bunch of money available. You can go on the road for the next 2 weeks and make more money than you ever made going on tour, recreating this group. Is it easy for you to imagine that for the bag, you could go on tour? You only have to deal with this person when you're on stage. Other than that, you're going to your hotel. Would you be able to put your personal hatred for this person aside? Because I think I could. If the money's right, let's go.
Depends on how much time was in between what happened.
That's why I gave it 20 years.
Yeah, then after 20 years, yeah. You could do that.
Because a lot of times, all those things, you don't care about the girl you were fucking 20 years ago, right?
It still hurt.
Yeah. You could think he's a bad person and still get up on stage and do your little fucking act, right?
And still get that money. But that's what being grown and controlling the climate is all about. Can you still perform? Can you still be around people with that knot in your stomach? some people can't handle the pressure.
And I do feel like it would have some sort of negative impact on my soul.
Yes, sir.
Because I feel like the reason why I'm happy and energetic and full of life every day is because I go into a place that I own and I make content that I'm excited about. And in a lot of ways, I don't know what it's like to have a fucking sort of miserable, stomach churning, horrible experience where I go and make crap that I don't care about every day, and I get paid well for it, but I don't like doing it.
That's why I try to live a peaceful life, like getting up early in the morning, going for walks. I call it connecting with the earth, right? You get up early and you walk and you have solitude and just peace of mind. And you try to, I always tell people when you're well rested, you're not as angry as much.
Oh, yeah.
Things can't bother you as well when you're tired. When you're tired, you're snappy. But if you're well rested, you're like, okay, it's not a problem.
I was thinking about that, like when Michael Richards blew up his whole career. I bet he didn't get a good night's sleep the night before.
I guarantee it.
You know?
Yes.
He didn't even have to be drunk.
No. And you're going to laugh at me. I forgot who Michael Richards is.
Kramer from Seinfeld, when he went on stage and started saying all the crazy N-word shit.
Ooh.
I'm just thinking, like, when I saw that.
He wasn't a big comedian anyway, though.
No, yeah, he was huge as Kramer, and then his career was sort of. But he still always had an audience and stuff because of his role.
He wasn't that big. He didn't care.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was. Yeah. No, the thing in life, you have to be careful. The goal is to have longevity. I'm thankful that I've been doing stand-up comedy for 35 years. 35. Working. A lot of people know me, a lot of people don't. But some people get into this business to be well known. I was in the business to be just well paid. That was my philosophy, because my upbringing is college, but also street philosophy. And I was taught not to be seen. I was taught to stay low key and flex occasionally. That's the way I move, and I always do that. I don't rock a lot of jewelry. I don't push Rolls Royces or Bentleys and all that kind of stuff. What I do is I live a modest life. I call it, matter of fact, farmer's mentality. Are you familiar with farmer's mentality?
Not really.
Well, I always tell people farmer's mentality is that when you saw a farmer, you see them in overalls, boots, dirty. But most farmers are balling. They multi-millionaires. And people don't know that. And they live beautiful, they have beautiful vacation times too. They really enjoy their lives. I like to go through life like that. I like to go through life every now and then. Like, I'm getting dressed up Saturday for the Red Fox Award.
Okay.
I'm excited about throwing on a suit, a tux, matter of fact, and going in there, having an amazing time. Because believe it or not, I like getting dressed, but I travel so much that I don't like carrying a lot of dress shirts with me, a lot of shoes with me, coats and all that kind of stuff.
I think it would be so incredible to wear a suit every day, but there's just so much that comes with that, especially if you travel.
Exactly. So you understand.
Yeah.
You understand the truth. Let me tell you something. I have a beautiful job, but I work so much, and thank you everybody who thinks I'm an incredible stand-up comedian, but that shit's rough. That's rough. Like the other day I flew in home, I got in at 11 o'clock, I was back on the plane at 6 a.m. That kind of rough.
I feel like, when you're 20, you feel like you've got all the time in the world. I'm 35, starting to really feel like, oh shit, like I might only have 30, 40, 50 years left on this planet. I got to go hard. And
that's a good way of looking at it. My accountant used to always say that he loved the way I thought, because I think about death every day. In fact, I think about death maybe 100 times a day.
Right.
Not because I'm depressed, not because of suicide. I think of death because I know tomorrow's not promised to you, and I want to get so much accomplished. So it keeps me motivated, knowing that any moment could be my last fucking moment.
Yeah.
So I do so many things so I could leave a legacy of my life when I'm gone. There's this and that and this and that and this. That's what's important to me.
Yeah. But I mean, like, as you get later into your life, is like, do you still feel that same sort of pressure to accomplish shit and kill it? Or do you sort of feel a little bit more resigned to like, oh, I need to just enjoy the quality of my experience? I've already accomplished so much, and let's be real, working my ass off in my 20s might have got me somewhere, but was I really enjoying my experience while I was there?
That's a good question. And I could tell you, this lifestyle I have, It's the best hotels in the world, best cities in the world, beaches,
Yeah.
gyms. Looking at some of the most beautiful women in the world. If you had your choice to have sex, you got some of the best pussy you can pick up anywhere in the world. I wouldn't trade it for nothing in the world. The goal is to pace yourself. The goal is to get your rest. The goal is to be the best you could be on stage, become a great businessman, and hopefully, if whatever that you're looking for, you will find it. But you gotta love yourself first. You gotta invest in you first. And I want to teach people just to stay extremely healthy so that you don't end up in the old folks' home. And what I mean by that is, do your research on that too. Kids are putting their parents in old folks' home at an alarming rate, right? Now, if your parents are sick, what these companies are doing now, they're asking your family for bank statements, what do you own, et cetera. And I'm going to do an episode on a podcast about it, how there's corruption within old folks' home. They're taking people's property and stealing it from the families. And nobody has the money or the knowledge to fight them. And I want to put that out in the universe so that people can, as your family goes into these places, you're protected, that they don't take from you.
Is that something you're like, the idea of going to an old folks home? Like, my parents are about 68.
Okay.
And it is weird sitting here talking to you and thinking like, Jesus Christ, this guy's like 8 years younger than my parents. Like my parents seem so much fucking older than you.
Yeah, I thank God I have a young spirit.
Yeah.
Like I win so many bets.
I think that every time I look at Trump, I don't like him, but I'm like, how the fuck is this guy this energetic and moving around and talking so much at that age?
But he's old mentally.
Oh, he's falling
That
apart
motherfucker,
mentally.
God damn.
If you watch a video of him 5-10 years ago, it is like another fucking person. It is crazy.
I really think there's mental illness on his part.
Oh, yeah.
There's no doubt about his mental illness on his part.
I'm willing to believe almost anything, even when they talk about him being on speed or whatever. I think that theory's got some legs to me.
Let me tell you, my man, I've never seen nothing like this before in my life. But I want to, but one thing that's great about me is I'm a father. So I'm going to get ready to pick up my daughter.
Right.
And I got like an hour drive. And she's, my kids are very important. And I always I'm the kind of dad, I don't wait till they get out of school.
Okay.
I like to be there 30 minutes, 40 minutes. So when they walk out, I'm there. I don't want to call and say, Daddy's late. I'm going to be in a minute, because I knew yesterday where I had to be. And I always try to be on time. That's called being accountable. That's called being responsible. That's called doing what you're supposed to do without excuses.
What area does your kid go to?
Woodland Hills.
Okay.
Yeah.
So is there any extent to which in a place like Woodland Hills, where you're expecting that people are going to be well off, intelligent, smart, progressive, is there any extent to which they look at you as a big ass black dude with tattoos and you feel any degree of skepticism from them, or has that kind of
I go
dissolved?
through life I've never gave a fuck about that. Like, I don't really give a fuck about politics. I don't really give a fuck about the president. I came up in the streets. I teach people to don't worry about all that. Get your money, take care of your immediate family, love them, and really try to do the right thing. Let people like ourselves, our experiences, teach you from doing the wrong thing. Because some people get into these deep holes, Adam, and never get out.
Right.
They dig the hole so deep, they never make it back.
Right.
And I want my experiences to teach people, don't get in that hole. Don't do it.
But your kids, it's just like where they're growing up. How are you planning on teaching them about racism? Because their experience with it's probably going to be a lot different than yours growing up.
The thing about racism, though, is one, I really want all my children to work for me. Let's start there, right? I think when people have children, you should put yourself in a position to own your own business, that you don't send them into the universe for another man to hire your child. That's one.
That's best case scenario, yeah.
Best case scenario.
But also, what if they come out not wanting,
That's true too.
She wants to be a doctor. She wants to be a doctor.
And I'm going to start talking to people about, instead of going to college, going to get skills. See, because unless you truly know what the fuck you want to do, when you go through them college doors, don't go. You'll be in debt, or your parents will be in debt for the rest of their life because you wasn't sure.
Right.
So I'd rather for someone to have a skill knowing that you're always going to have a job. Skills are more important to me than a degree, because you can learn a skill and create your own business. Because isn't the world crazy? You got to have a college degree to work for somebody else, but you don't need no degree to start your own business.
Right.